When we talk about the RPM formula, results, purpose, and massive action, we're really diving into the essence of what drives human behavior. Stress doesn't come from doing too much or juggling too many things. It comes from a lack of clarity. When you don't know what you want, when there's no clear direction or purpose to the steps you're taking, stress is an inevitable byproduct. That's where RPM comes in. It's a strategy designed to break down the overwhelm, to give you the focus, and to instill in you a sense of certainty that will eliminate stress at its core. First, let's talk about results. Stress often arises because we're not clear on what we're ultimately trying to achieve. Think about it, when you're unclear about what you want. When your goals aren't specific or aligned with your deeper desires, the constant fluctuations in focus, energy, and purpose lead to inner chaos. You feel pulled in a million different directions, and every new challenge, every new task, every new responsibility adds weight to an already heavy load. The result: stress. The first step in the RPM formula is getting crystal clear on the results you truly desire. This is where most people get stuck. They're busy, they're not making progress because they haven't spent the time to define what progress actually looks like. What do you want? No, I mean, really, what do you want? Not just surface level goals, but the core outcomes that will bring meaning, fulfillment, and direction to your life. Now, I'm not talking about resolutions or ambiguous wishes. I'm talking about specificity. When you know exactly what you want, whether it's financial freedom, better health, a more meaningful relationship, or professional success, you create a mental blueprint. And when you have a blueprint, your brain can focus on making it happen. But when that blueprint is fuzzy, when you're uncertain about your desired outcome, stress seeps in. It's like driving a car with no map. No matter how fast you go, you're not really sure if you're headed the right direction. Once you're clear on your results, that leads us to the next piece of the formula: purpose. Purpose is the fuel that propels you toward those results. You can have the clearest goal in the world. If it's not connected to a deeper sense of meaning, if it's not tied to your core values, it won't have the power to pull you forward when things get tough. And trust me, things will get tough. We all face challenges, roadblocks, and moments of doubt, but when your actions are tethered to a sense of purpose, they take on a whole new energy. They become the bridge between where you are and where you want to be. Purpose gives you that. Why? That keeps you moving even when the path isn't easy. It's the emotional connection to your goals that makes them not just a do list, but a reason to get up every morning and face the world with intention. You've probably heard this before. Success without purpose can often feel hollow, even if you achieve everything you set out to do. The fulfillment doesn't come from checking boxes. It comes from knowing that every step you take is contributing to something larger than yourself. So, once you have clarity on your results, and you've anchored those results to a purpose that inspires you, you have what I like to call the psychological foundation for success. This is where massive action comes into play. And massive action is not just about working harder, it's about working smarter with intention. When you're aligned with a clear result and driven by a purpose, you're no longer working in a vacuum, pushing against the wind. Every action you take is a step toward the life you want to create, and that momentum becomes your ally. But here's the real magic of the RPM formula. When you're clear on your results and rooted in purpose, you automatically begin to make better choices. The distractions that used to pull you off course, they fade away. The overwhelm that used to paralyze you, it dissipates. You stop chasing after things that aren't aligned with your vision. The chaos of stress is replaced with the clarity of action, and suddenly life becomes more manageable. You have a clear target, a compelling reason to reach it, and the focused action to make it happen. Here's the point I want you to really understand. Stress isn't about doing more. It's about doing more of the right things. And in order to do that, you need clarity on the results you want, an unwavering sense of purpose to guide you, and the massive action that drives you forward. So let me ask you, what would happen in your life if you started applying the RPM formula? If you got crystal clear on the results you want, grounded them in a deep personal purpose, and then took massive, intentional action every day, stress would no longer have the power to control you. You would be in the driver's seat, directing your life with intention, confidence, and focus, clarity, purpose, and action. This is the formula that ends stress for good. And it's up to you to make it a part of your everyday reality. The choice is yours. When we look at the nature of stress, we often see it as something external, a force that pushes in from the outside, whether it's work, relationships, or personal expectations. What if I told you that the root of stress is not in what's happening to you, but rather how you're interpreting and responding to the world around you? Stress, at its core, is a product of overwhelm. Overwhelm, in turn, stems from a lack of control. And that sense of control, or more precisely, the illusion of control, is what we need to reclaim if we are to eliminate stress for good. You see, the modern world bombards us with a never-ending stream of tasks, distractions, and demands. We're told to juggle more, multitask faster, and push harder. In the process, we lose sight of our core values, of our priorities. We feel pulled in 1,000 different directions, and as a result, we can't give any one thing the attention it truly deserves. That's when stress creeps in. It's the feeling of being overwhelmed by the sheer weight of what you should be doing, even when you're already doing your best. But here's the crucial insighting. You can shift from this overwhelming sense of stress to a place of empowerment by understanding that your stress isn't coming from the tasks themselves. It's coming from your internal response to those tasks. It's the feeling of being stuck in a cycle of reaction rather than taking proactive control of your life. This is where the RPM formula, specifically the shift from overwhelm to empowerment, makes all the difference. When you have clarity on your GU results day, when you know exactly what you're working toward, and you're deeply connected to your own purpose, stress begins to lose its grip on you. Let me explain. When you define what you want, when you get clear on your desired outcomes, you are no longer reacting to life's challenges as they come at you. You stop feeling like a leaf blowing in the wind, buffeted by every new email, phone call, or unexpected task. Instead, you begin to respond from a place of purpose. Your decisions are no longer guided by external pressure, they're guided by your vision. When you are connected to your purpose, every action you take becomes intentional, and it shifts your mindset from a passive, reactionary state to an empowered, proactive one. Now, this doesn't mean life suddenly becomes problem-free. Challenges will still arise. Unforeseen events will occur. But here's the key: when you're clear on your results and fueled by your purpose, you respond to challenges differently. You don't see them as roadblocks or threats. Instead, you see them as part of the journey. They become opportunities for growth, not sources of stress. And when you approach your goals with that mindset, the pressure that used to cause anxiety starts to feel more like a challenge you can tackle head on. This shift, this transformation from feeling overwhelmed to feeling empowered, is at the heart of eliminating stress. It's not about doing less. It's about doing the right love things with the right energy. When you're aligned with your results and your purpose, you prioritize naturally. The distractions that used to cause you anxiety no longer pull at you. Instead, you find yourself laser focused on what truly matters. For example, imagine you're working on a big project at work. In the past, you might have felt stress rising as you saw deadlines approaching. You'd begin to worry about the things you hadn't done yet, and suddenly your mind would be racing, juggling thousands about what you should be doing. But now, with the RPM formula in place, the shift is simple. You stop and ask yourself, what result am I ultimately after? You get clear. Then you ask, why does this matter? That sense of purpose starts to fuel you, and suddenly the mountain of tasks doesn't feel so overwhelming anymore. You begin taking massive action, one step at a time, with full focus on the next task, not on the mountain itself. And the more you focus on the small steps, the less stress you feel. This process is incredibly freeing. By aligning your actions with your core desires and values, you move from feeling like a victim of life's circumstances to feeling like the creator of your reality. Stress begins to diminish as you take full responsibility for how you respond to life's events. The world around you doesn't change, but your relationship to it does. And here's the beautiful thing: you don't need to wait for stress to magically disappear. The RPM formula can help you make this shift right now. It's about giving yourself permission to step out of the reactionary mindset and into one of proactive control. It's about choosing where you focus your energy and deciding how you want to respond to life instead of letting life dictate how you feel. Think about it. When you're clear on your results and connected to your purpose, it doesn't matter how chaotic the world around you becomes. You remain anchored, you remain focused, you remain empowered, and that is the most powerful antidote to stress. You have the ability right now to shift from overwhelm to empowerment. It's not about the challenges you face. It's about how you choose to face them. When you take control of your results and align them with your purpose, you take control of your life. And that's the foundation for lasting peace of mind. So I ask Yug, how much more powerful could you be in your life if you stopped reacting to stress and started creating your way out of it? The choice is yours. It always has been. Now, let's talk about what happens when you stop treating stress
Yeah.
as a temporary and start seeing it as a sign, a signal that there's something deeper at play. Most people, when faced with stress, either try to power through it or numb it, hoping it'll go away on its own. But real transformation doesn't come from temporary fixes or quick escapes. It comes from changing how you approach stress in the first place. By shifting your mindset and understanding how to apply the RPM formula in a way that not only relieves stress, but eliminates it permanently. The key to creating lasting change is not just about reducing stress in the moment, but about shifting your entire approach to how you handle pressure and challenges. When you consistently apply the RPM formula, results, purpose, and massive action, stress doesn't just fade away temporarily. It dissolves as a permanent byproduct of a lead with clarity, focus, and intentionality. You see, when you get clear on your results, when you connect them to a higher sense of purpose, and when you take massive, consistent action toward those results, stress becomes a thing of the past. The moment you shift from reaction to intention, from chaos to clarity, you change your relationship with stress forever. And this is the most powerful part of the RPM formula. It's not about managing stress, it's about eliminating it at its core. Let me explain why this shift is so profound. The problem with stress, as most of us experience it, is that we often perceive it as something to cope with. We try to manage it, to reduce it, to navigate around it. We've all heard that stress management techniques, breathing exercises, meditation, yoga, time management are helpful, but here's the true thing. While those methods may give you temporary relief, they don't eliminate the root cause of stress. Why? Because they don't address the core issue. Lack of control. Stress arises when we feel out of control, when we feel like we're constantly reacting to the world around us. And as long as you're in reaction mode, stress will always be lurking just around the corner. The only way to truly end stress is take full responsibility for how you respond to life. And that starts with the RPM formula. When you gain clarity about your results, what you truly want, and you link those results to a deeply meaningful purpose, something powerful happens. You no longer feel like you're on the back foot, constantly trying to catch up with the demands of life. Instead, you're proactively creating your future with every decision you make. Every action you take, no matter how small, becomes part of a larger intentional process. The focus shifts from stress management to stress prevention, and that shift is game-changing. How do you make sure this shift isn't just a one-time change, but something that becomes sustainable over time? The answer lies in the consistency of massive action. It's not enough to get clear on your results and connect them to a purpose once, and then hope everything will work out. You need to take consistent action every single day. Action that is aligned with your purpose and your desired results. Massive action creates momentum. And momentum is the antidote to stagnation and overwhelm. When you're consistently moving forward with intention, it becomes much harder for stress to take root. Why? Because momentum feeds confidence, and confidence extinguishes fear. As you start to make progress, whether it's on a big project at work, a personal goal, or an area of self-improvement, you begin to prove to yourself that you're in control. You begin to trust yourself, your decisions, and your ability to handle whatever life throws your way. Here's the truth, and people don't experience long-term stress because of external circumstances. It's because they don't believe they have control over their outcomes. But when you have the clarity of results, the power of purpose, and the force of massive action, you regain that control. You stop being a victim to external events. You start being the architect of your own life. This is the ultimate shifting from stress as a reactionary force to stress as a driving motivator for growth. When you see challenges as opportunities to apply your results, refine your purpose, and take more massive action, stress is no longer a burden. It becomes fuel. It propels you forward. And here's the final piece of the puzzle when you make RPM a part of your daily life. Stress doesn't just go away temporarily. It becomes a thing of the past. No longer will you feel like you're constantly on the edge of burnout or exhaustion. No longer will you be chasing a sense of balance that always seems just out of reach. By consistently clarifying your results, connecting them to your purpose, and taking massive action every day, you create a new reality for yourself. Reality where stress doesn't run the show anymore. So, let me ask you, what would your life look like if you never felt truly stressed again? What would you accomplish if, instead of reacting to stress, you used it as a driving force to create a life that's aligned with your deepest desires and values? Imagine waking every day with the clarity, confidence, and energy to take massive action toward your most important goals, free from the weight of stress. This isn't just a dream, it's your reality waiting for you to step into it. The choice is yours. Will you continue to let stress control your life, or will you take control and eliminate it once and for all? The RPM formula isn't just a strategy, it's the key to a life that's truly free from the chains of stress.